the one man that I trusted in all the world was my abuser, and that was my father. And I was 5 years old when he molested me for the first time. And so I know that, you know, from that day forward, I saw men as violent and heartless.
I was really scared, and I was in a really bad place in my life, and I was ashamed, and I just didn't know what my future held.
They're just kids, really. And the last thing on their mind is, how am I going to raise a child?
I just thought, you know, what's happening to my life?
I was in denial that I was actually pregnant for a long time, and finally took a pregnancy test, about 10 actually, and they were all positive, and at that point it was, what do we do?
At the end of the day, it was hard. It was just not something I really, really wanted to do, but I'd weighed all my options. It was just heavy,
I kind of thought, well, you know, that'll be okay. You know, I'll do this and I'll still have the rest of my life to live.
And my mom and Dad took me to a Planned Parenthood facility, and I ended up being counseled. Well, what do you want to do? Well, what can I do? You know, I'm pregnant, you know. Well, you could have an abortion. Okay, you know, okay. Well, that happened 4 times. And it was very debilitating. It led to alcoholism and drug abuse, promiscuity, and lots of pain.
The abortion clinic, it was just really dreary. And I crossed my arms and just cried, and it was a horrible experience because you could literally hear the vacuuming situation. So after that, we were all sitting in a room, and it was like you were surrounded by complete zombies, just sitting there, and everybody was just head hanging low and just moaning. It was just constant moaning in the room.
Nobody ever called it a child. They called it a blob of tissue or a fetus, or, you know, nobody ever said it was a child. But I just remember sobbing on the plane coming home.
It was painful, lots of noise, lots of laughter, and they acted carefree as if nothing that they were doing was wrong, as if I was making the best choice for my life and that I would be happy when I left. And in actuality, when I left, I was very sick. I vomited as soon as I walked out of the door, and that day began the process of depression and grieving and shame for 10 plus years.
I got myself involved with some men that did things to me that were unspeakable. But nor did I stop them, because I didn't feel like I had any worth or value. And I get pregnant. And I just felt like such a failure. And I didn't ask anybody's opinion. I didn't talk to anybody. I was so scared, and I just reacted, and I went and I immediately got another abortion.
But as soon as they started the procedure and were inside my body and destroying my baby, It just was, things just got cold, numb, just real numb. You never forget.
I thought that I was unworthy and unlovable and, not beautiful, no matter what anyone told me. I just began to believe all these things, and they were just breaking me down one by one. On my 18th birthday at 11:30 that night, I'll never forget, I was in my bed, and my mom walked upstairs and said that, your dad's gone to be with the Lord. And I just questioned why. I'm trying to search for that void in my heart to be filled by some guy that really didn't care that much about me. It made the situation 10 times worse, and at the same time, I wasn't really coping with my dad. Shortly after Christmas break of my freshman year of college, I was headed back to school, and I just knew something was not right. I ended up taking a pregnancy test and finding out that I was pregnant. I was 18 years old, and I was completely lost. What I found to be the only way out was to actually go through with an abortion. I lost all self-respect for myself, and I just tried to go on with life as if nothing had happened. But that was only the beginning of a lot of drunken nights, promiscuity. I knew that that's not who I wanted to be. Shortly after college, I was offered a job in Charlotte, North Carolina. This was actually 5 years after the abortion. And although I did grow up in a loving Christian home, I was by no means living the life that God had intended for me. At this point, I had, by all means, hit rock bottom, and I knew that I needed to recommit my life to the Lord. Once I got connected at the Resource Center, each week got better and better, and it was almost like shedding pounds off. All of those feelings that I struggled with throughout all of this of not feeling beautiful or worthy or even loved, those feelings of myself were completely gone. And, in those few, short months, I was able to completely experience total healing. As if God wasn't knocking me upside the head and saying, stop running from me, stop hiding, I'm giving you an opportunity to heal. Not only did he, choose me for this, to go through this for a reason, but it's going to be used to glorify him. And through this, I've seen that God's going to use me directly to show people that this is not the end. It's only the beginning.
I really believe that the ministry was founded to receive women as Jesus received people, welcoming them, loving them where they were, where they are, no matter what their circumstance.
Young girls, young guys, and they're all afraid. And so working with them, trying to give them some guidance, help them to face the unknown.
They're desperate. They feel like they don't have any alternative. They can't even see any light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're talking about every life that's involved in this pregnancy. It isn't just the baby in the womb, it's also the life of the mother.
Jesus said, by this they'll know you're my disciples, by your love for one another. That's what needs to happen in this building, is love. The exact words, the wordsmithing, that's not what saves babies, that's not what saves lives and introduces people to Jesus.
When they hear the truth, it's like it just rings in their minds, because it's the very first time for many of them. Because the impact is when a guy walks through here a year from now and he's got a kid that's 6, 9 months old, and he's bringing them upstairs so I can just have a look at them. That's it right there.
Well, 2 years ago, I was a client here at the Pregnancy Resource Center when I was pregnant with my son, Anthony. I heard about the Pregnancy Resource Center when I got on Google, terrified. As soon as I walked in, it was just a climate of hope. And I realized, I'm not the only one. My life isn't over, and, this is really a beautiful thing, and there's so much to just embrace and enjoy.
Charlotte is obviously the biggest city in our state, but it's an urban pregnancy center. We see clients here, right here in the city. We also pull from a number of neighboring counties simply because folks come to Charlotte looking for an abortion. We have 4 abortion providers 8.5 miles from the front door of the pregnancy center here. We realize the best decision is to follow God's plan for sex inside of marriage, yet unplanned pregnancies are reality, and we must face the issue with Christ's love.
I pray for an abortion-free and gospel-filled city that's healed and discipled for the glory of Christ.
When we do make wrong choices, there is forgiveness, but we can't choose our consequences. One of my consequences is I don't have any children. I will never know the joy of having a baby or holding a baby in my arms that's mine and my husband's. That's one of the things that I have to live with.
I can't go back and change the things that I have done, but I can certainly go forward.